Okay. It looks like you're alive right now.
"37 ways people lost their innocence." According to Reddit, you may be noticing that I'm going to be starting at 40, and it's because a considerable amount of these have been deleted as we travel towards the top. So just allow me to read it as 40, and when we get to what's deleted, that'll be that. These are from a while back, but that's fine too. Number 40. When I was younger, I was sent to school for special needs kids. Ugh. Not that there's anything wrong with that. First, a diabetic kid was refused his insulin from teachers and was slowly dying. Fat 300-pound teacher sat on me, held me to the ground, and I couldn't breathe. More shit like that I don't feel like talking about. How terrible is that? You know what I mean? That that special needs children aren't getting the attention that they require,
Is being diabetic alone enough to get you sent to a special school?
If your parent cares enough, it is, And when you're younger, maybe it's more of a responsibility than it may come off as, And you're operating under the assumption that it's just that going on. Maybe the kid has other things too, and they're also
No, that's
diabetic.
what I'm asking.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
There's no way to know.
There's no way to know in this instance, but we can just assume that maybe there were more things going on. So number 39, when I was 12, I was in a physics lesson quietly getting on with my work when my friend beckoned me over to show me something on her phone. I went over unsuspectingly. I was looking forward to chuckling at some funny picture or something, and bam, a video of a gangbang with a pregnant woman. I was not prepared. I didn't feel so innocent after that. That's some pretty intense for friends when you're 12 years old and they're like, yo, check out this video of a pregnant woman gangbang. Oh, my lord. What do you think the responses read? The response reads, wow, are you both women? Did you root her silly afterwards? Young ladies into prego gangbangs are probably great in bed. Oh my God. She responds, haha, we were both 12 years old. So no, I didn't root her. We did have a drunken kiss 4 years later at New Year's, but nothing close to prego gangbangs. Still friends with her now though. My God.
What does rooting mean?
Maybe you don't need to think about it. This 12-year-old girl is into pregnant gangbangs. Well, that is what's
no, wait, her friend was. She herself might not have been. Maybe she was now.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying she said we were both 12. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So I was talking about that girl. Number 38. Stupidvideos.com around 2005 to 2006. Airbags was the name of the video, I think. Camera is positioned below a very large bra. She yanks it out with her hands, flinging her monstrous titties into the frame. Some say they're still bouncing. Okay, well, I guess just a big pair of bouncing titties is what made this guy a man. That's how he lost his innocence. But this is going to get better as we go along. Number 37. Oh boy, it's a long one.
Oh no, I'm scared.
It's also been gilded. Well, no one is going to see this, but when I was laid off in 2009, at this time, I was a staunch conservative. If you get laid off, it was your fault. If you were poor and you weren't doing the right things in the right way. Well, then I lost my job and I had done nothing to lose it. Good performance reviews, etc. I just so happened to be the newest guy in the building. Naturally, I took unemployment insurance because I did pay into it, and I set about finding a new job, a better job. After about 3 months, it became clear that that wasn't going to happen, and my conservative ethic said, take a job, any job, it's better than nothing. So I did. I started doing data entry at two-thirds of my salary, his former salary, and boy howdy did it suck. My commute went from 20 minutes on the bus to 40 minutes and an hour, depending on what time I left for work. 5 minutes later one day, and you're taking the long way home. Well, I needed to make more money because maintaining my debts plus rent plus medication was making it so even though I had a job full-time with benefits, we were eating beans and rice and ramen most days. That sucks. But I couldn't get a second job with only having access to a bus. No one near me commuted anywhere near where I worked. Online jobs were all clearly scams, and nobody was hiring in any way. Forget looking for a new job. I spent all my spare time commuting, eating, sleeping. In what spare time I did have, I was exhausted, stressed, and just generally overwhelmed. If anything at all went wrong, in a flash, I could go bankrupt. Bankruptcy was grounds for dismissal where I was working, and at the end of my term there, I had half an attendance point left. You see, I had missed work for illness once, and was snowed into my apartment complex twice that year. Each unplanned absence is 1 point off, and late is half a point. 2 hours late is considered an absence. I was 2 hours late once due to slow, plus my illness was being an hour and a half late means 2.5 points. When your point balance reaches 0, you're fired. I was spared being fired because my wife's work closed that day due to snow. As I left, I told her I told her to sue for wrongful death if I died in a car accident. And I nearly did, because I had to drive as fast as possible to get to work before I lost all my attendance points. Somewhere along the line, it dawned on my tiny, feeble, upper middle class raised mind, Jesus Christ. Is this how the poor live? How the hell would you ever get out? God, without reliable transportation, forget having 2 jobs, forget going to school, forget even making sure that your kids have a good meal at the end of the day. Just the one job an hour was sucking all my time away. You're constantly stressed, you're sick all the time, but you cannot see a doctor because sometimes... What? Awesome.
I'm sorry, I got scared. I set up an alarm on my computer because I'm supposed to take medication.
Okay, take your medication. You're constantly stressed, you're sick all the time, but cannot see a doctor because sometimes it's a doctor visit versus you eating for that week. As I thought about it more and more, I realized that our system, kind of by design, but not really, is set up to keep you right where you are. Oh, you get the veil pulled from out under your eyes. I'm glad that he's coming to a mental awakening. If you're middle class, it's designed to keep you where you are, keep you there with tax breaks and solid education. If you're poor, you're stuck there because people on the lowest rung are not trusted, not provided with a good education, and not helped in the ways that are meaningful. If you're rich, the system is tilted even more in your favor. You likely have solid networks, which provide you with the best opportunities regardless of education, the best of which is offered to you. Your family can sink piles of resources into you if you get into trouble, and it's fucking insane. I was constantly afraid of something going wrong. Any extra money was spent either buying an hour or 2 of entertainment to escape reality or into a fund to ensure the one car we had kept running. Everything went to the most logical, most needed and immediate thing. Fortunately, things got better, but they got better because our friends and our family had resources to spare. They got better because I got into grad school, because I had good education and paid for by my family. Ever since this experience, I pulled the lever for the left side of my political system every election. Listen to me, young people. You may think money isn't important. Well, it's not important until you don't have it. Make sure you never don't have it if you can. And that's the bottom line, baby. Scared to think about. but it's the true. Are
It
you
kind of
okay?
reminds me of the caste system they have set up in India. Wait, did the stream stop?
No. Is it not live for you? Is the stream not live for you?
I didn't open it up this time. Let me go look. I can't see, so...
It should be fine. Number 36. My childhood fucked me up quite a bit, psychologically and emotionally. My sister was diagnosed with a few complicated mental illnesses. She was always incredibly abusive to my family, destroying things and screaming for hours nonstop over minor disturbances. The most common one was if she could not get a turn on the TV, when we had one TV and a PS1. She would go berserk and start throwing things and hitting my dad and defacing all the walls with whatever she could get her hands on. I am 2 years younger than she, and she started this behavior when she was about 6, and it continued until she was about 18. I would often flee from the house and play soccer by myself or skateboard around the neighborhood. I also, for whatever reason, had semi-sexual contact with both my sister and older brother. A very brief few homosexual encounters with my brother and a few brief sexual encounters with my sister. My sister even threatened me and forced me to do stuff to her, since a therapist pointed out how it was congruent to molestation. But I guess we were trying to figure ourselves out sexually. I know I am straight, but to this day, when I meet some men, I have thoughts similar to my encounters from my brother.
Ugh.
Holy bing bong. I really found the right list today, ladies and gentlemen. My parents also went through a difficult divorce, and I remember witnessing their fights. My dad could yell so loud, it sounded like a lion. It scarred me, definitely. I once was in a heated argument with an ex, and I blew up just like my dad did, and after a second it hit me like a wave. I just sat down and cried. That ex was confused by my emotional reaction sometimes. Every day I wonder how I would be different if I was an only child, or if my parents didn't have a falling out, but I am not, and they did. So we live with it. This is so my kind of list. Look how low this is. This is number 36 in this list.
I'm sorry to make light of the situation.
Don't make light of the situation, but let's talk about how much quality Reddit used to have. This is only a year ago, son, and we're getting badass fucking responses like this low on the list. What
I think there's an air show going on.
So?
There's so many planes passing by my house right now.
Well, I can't hear it, so don't worry about it. Piconi, Hannah, Alex, and Cheshire Cat in the stream chat. Hello. Number 35. What made you lose your innocence? What changed everything for me was the day I landed in Vietnam. Oh, damn. When they opened the hatch, the wet, muggy heat just filled your lungs. We deplaned on a tower of stairs, and when I looked to my right, there were coffins on the tarmac for their final flight home. As the saying goes, shit got very real at that point in my life. I'm sure this guy's got tons of other stories. Somebody else said, wow, would like to hear more of your experience, if you feel like telling them. He continues, I wasn't anything special, I was just a grunt. At my best, a Lance Corporal, USMC. I was a big boy at 6'3" and 250 pounds, so I was assigned to hump ammo for the machine gunners. I went on a lot of night patrols and ambushes, but mostly I slept or smoked opium in a fire base in godforsaken nowhere. That is so cool. We all drank, we did pot and opium, and read Playboy and listened to rock music and did the stupidest shit 50 teenagers would do until it became time to go kill. What a scary time.
Sorry, I'm not as familiar with cannabis culture as maybe I should be. But is there a difference between hemp and weed?
No.
And why do they mention them both?
Because it'd be the same as me going, hey, You guys enjoy this weed in this room. Me and this other girl gonna go smoke that pot in the other room. You know what I'm talking about? If you want some ganja, it's in the kitchen. And don't let me catch you with no Mary Jane in this house. You know what I'm talking about? There's different words for everything. Get over it.
I guess it's the whole situation where I think men have 8 kinds of genitals because of all the slang terms.
Bing bong. Then it was business. Shit went down and people died. You have no time to stop and make sense of things till later. I finally realized my life was the payment on some politician's words that I didn't even know. Like, for real. For real, dude. Old ass niggas are signing papers that are sending young boys to give their lives for some bullshit. And they stay rich while the young and poor stay fertilizer. And that's fucked up. Really fucked up. I still don't even understand why I was sent there to this day. We were taught not to question our leaders and do for our country. So I did. If there is a specific thing you're curious about, just ask. My memory isn't perfect and I don't mind trying. Some things may be out of my experience, but I will give you the truth of anything I can. One of my favorite things about Captain America's arc in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as far as the movies are concerned, is how he comes out of that time where being good and doing good means following, orders and doing what you're told. You're fighting for your country, and that's the meaning of being heroic and the meaning of being righteous, But sometimes people have agendas, and agendas change. And for him to come to that realization over the course of his movies and the fucking cinematic universe is very cool, because maybe it was that way then as well. And him coming to the maturity to understand that, yes, what he wants to do is good. The people that are in charge of him may not have that same goodness in their heart, or that, that inherent righteous attitude to what's supposed to be going down. Somebody responds to this guy, thanks for sharing your experience. I think it is important that they are shared some way, because otherwise all those moments will be lost in time like tears in rain. Also, can you tell about the prostitution in there? Personal stories or shit you want to talk about? Okay. Very specific question from a Redditor, but let's get into it. Prostitution was rampant. I wasn't too into it. I like to smoke all you want opium and get a blowjob joints. I just didn't feel a sexual connection to the girls. To be honest, I think it was a prejudice because of their skin color and the fact that I couldn't tell if they were old enough. I know it sounds fucked up that a blowjob was fine and fucking wasn't, but my mind was weird. Well, I think a lot of people probably are on the same page with him there. Opium fog. I often kept a 45 in my hand. Strangely enough, the girls really didn't care. Everything was danger, and it was hard to relax enough to come. Wow. I usually needed opium to take the edge off. Around my second year in the country, I gave up leaving the base and going to town. I just hated it. My mom sent me care packages, and my bunkie sister worked for a radio station in Los Angeles and sent us reel-to-reel music. We listened to everything 50 times over before we traded it up for something to someone else for what they had. I got further into the habit of having a gun on my lap or in my hand out of paranoia. I used to sleep with my loaded safety on M14 between my legs. That's paranoia. Sad part is that I wasn't the only one. During the TET holiday, my paranoia was all reinforced when the fire base I was in was overrun, and we had to fight our way back to control stripes. Now, here's why this is so powerful to me, okay? This dude ended up asking him a question about, prostitution.
Right.
And essentially a couple of sentences into this thing, it just boils back into this guy's paranoia, and it should give you a little bit of insight into the animals, the primal machine-like fucking monsters that the government encouraged a person to become, to go over there and fight for their life. You know, this is your life you're fighting for. It's not like you have the choice to do or don't. You do or die. Do you understand? And over there, this paranoia is really real. Imagine not being able to achieve release because you're scared and you're always on edge and you're always on guard. Imagine like you're not a woman, but I'm just saying, like, this is a picture like a man's got his dick is being sucked by a chick and he's tightly gripping a gun because that's how on edge he always is. He's got to be having drugs to try and take that edge off. You know what I mean? And they're going to sleep with their weapons because of fears, you know, that they're not safe, and they aren't safe. And then these fears are validated when their base is overrun in the middle of the night. Imagine fumbling around for a weapon to arm, to defend yourself. They had to fight for fucking control of the base. It was a solid 4 to 6 hours of face-to-face beating the fuck out of each other in the dark. I lost count of the number of people I shot that night, but I can tell you for sure I beat one to death with my bare hands and a ammo can and I think a rock, maybe a log. He wasn't much smaller than me. I was 6'3" and 240, so he could have been about 5'7" and at most 130 pounds. I saw him run in through the wire and try to blow a sapper charge. I ran to him. What?
You might have saved his whole platoon.
I ran to him and just clamped on, and we didn't blow up. So the race was on to kill each other. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't strong enough to get away from me. I sort of vaguely remember sitting on his chest and bringing the ammo can down repeatedly on his head until it split open. Okay. He stopped moving and I'm pretty sure I stabbed him a few times with a K-bar. I think we slept a few hours and then mounted up to go on an ambush. We didn't wait very long to go back and sort of licked our wounds and took off. We found a few areas and napalmed the shit out of the woods. That's not allowed anymore because of the Geneva Convention. You know what I mean? Can't just burn shit up.
No, I'm not really familiar with the laws of war.
I really don't remember much after TET. I was a bad hophead at that point and just smoked and killed. It took me getting back to the world to get my shit cleared up. I had to dry out cold from opium. I had stashed some of the TWA flight in my boots, but it ran out quickly. I slept in my parents' hammock for a few days so I could detox and just rest. I floated around the US on my saved pay and worked in different industries. I logged and I fished and I did odd jobs, just needed a break from responsibility. When I came back, I got a job as a cop, no real training to speak of. I was a Marine, it was good enough. I did that for a while and got with the NYC EMS and became a paramedic. It was a great job and it paid well, and I met a great girl who accepted my faults, of which there are many. And we have 3 great sons. I won the lottery of life. Over and over he won that lottery. It's not just going to war and coming out alive. You know, it's being able to make it, dude. Because one of the worst things that faces how things go is what people are turned into when they become the instruments of war. And you know, you go over there, you're experiencing a lifestyle that, in my opinion, a person is not meant for. And ironically, genetically, yes, we're built to be beasts, you know, we're built to fight. And to allow that part of you to come out and take control to the point where you are this beast now. And then, after being allowed, after being encouraged to be this thing, to be this fighting machine, right? To literally just use drugs to, that's what they have to use to come down, Stripes. The drugs are what, like, puts a leash on them for a small amount of time. They get so fucked out of their mind that literally sitting down is all that they can handle. And breathing. maybe, and it's so funny because sometimes maybe the amount of drugs that they would need to calm down is the amount of drugs that it would take to kill him. Do you get what I'm saying? So take that warrior that you've created that's bred only to go out and kill, which is exactly what you want of them. This is what the government wants of these people. And now try to reintegrate them back into society. Tell them they can't drink. Tell them they can't smoke what they used to smoke over there, to take the edge off. Tell them that they need to act normal and that there's some rules, and there's a social piece of mold that they need to fit themselves through, not just when they're outside, but like on a daily basis. Imagine them trying to find people that are understanding and not critical of their situation, having not gone through what they've gone through. And we live in a world where everybody, especially women, like to tell people how they feel, as crazy as that sounds, when they're not in their head. They haven't been through what they've been through. Even if they had been through what they've been through, we're individuals. We deal with things in different ways. We perceive and interpret the world in different ways. Our reactions are different. The meaning behind our actions are different. Our intent may not be the same, even if our action is the same, but they're supposed to reincorporate like a light switch back into society. And it's fucking insane. This guy really did win the lottery, in my opinion. He went over there, he lived, he came back, he found someone, he came back, he could jump through the hoops that society erects for people. Some of us, we've never been to war. We've never killed certain men. We've never had our lives in jeopardy. We've never been threatened or felt like we're forced into situations that, our caste was, it's like a die was thrown when we were born, and we can barely bring ourselves to jump through the hoops of society. Imagine somebody who's been like molded into something to fit a certain purpose, and then now they're back and they're like, no, go back to that old person now. And it's just horrifying to think about. And this shit's happening right now because some old asshole is making a decision that's costing lives. It's costing lives. And people just, man, it's really sad to think about. But as we continue along in this list of ways,
I'm really glad you could move past that and find normalcy. I'd imagine there's a lot of culture shock just coming back.
Culture shock's got to be just the beginning of it. In other ways that people lost their innocence, number 34 says Rotten.com. Yeah, for people who know what that is, that's one of the initial sites online that gained widespread notoriety for its gory content. People getting killed, kind of like the live leak of back in the day. Man, have you seen some of these videos coming out of Syria? While we're on that note, there was like a aftermath of a chemical thing that was going down in Syria.
I haven't seen it.
Long story short, you watch the video, you see a whole bunch of bodies lying on the ground and they're all struggling to breathe. These people are dying. You're watching people dying. They're on the ground, they're dying. The clothes has been stripped off of them. They're like shit, spraying water on them, just trying to, you know what I mean? It's really horrifying, unfortunately, when you reach a child and the child is struggling to breathe. You know what I mean? And you can hear his labored breathing, and it's just like, buh. Everybody in the comment section is saying the same thing. Oh, I was all right until that kid, It's so weird, Loss of life is loss of life. But for whatever reason, we always look at it a little bit differently when
if it's a kid or an animal.
When it's a child. Not so much an animal. What are you, a female?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Oh my god, you're a dog. No, I mean, like, no, dude. For whatever reason, like I said, I was actually teasing. Remember, I was teasing when I made that joke recently about how when it comes to vegetarians, they should feel even more ashamed than we do about killing animals to eat them, because plants are alive as far as our definition of what life is, and plants live a hell of a lot longer than the animals do. So in the same way that people have their hang-ups about watching kids come to harm, you know what I mean, as opposed to like a normal person coming to harm, like, a plant is in its infancy, in its pre-adolescence essentially, because they really do live a long time. But that's neither here nor there. What's old man Kyle going on about now? What?
In theory, I think you can be a vegetarian and not harm any forms of life if you just eat the stuff that the plants produce and not the plant itself. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can live off strawberries, you'd be like the wholesomest vegetarian in the land.
Number 33. Ways that people have lost their innocence. For context, my brother and I have cystic fibrosis, so as a person who genuinely is not as familiar with that as I should be, cystic fibrosis apparently, let me scroll to the right, is an inherited life-threatening disorder that damages the lungs and digestive system. That is a very quick description, and that sounds like it sucks. An inherited life-threatening disorder. So they got it, because of their genes, and that's very unfortunate. When I was 12 and he was 10, our doctor sat us down and had us watch a video called Dying Young. Jesus Christ. Basically, it's a video about how if we don't take our medication like we should, we would basically kill ourselves. That is pretty brutal. Anyway, I realized that day that my disease is a big deal and it will kill me one day, like sooner than most people. But the thing that killed me was realizing my little brother was going through the same thing. Fuck cystic fibrosis. Yeah.
These stories where kids are just forced to grow up a little faster, or like in some cases not have a childhood at all because of the situations that are just thrust at them, are just really sad to me. And I expect to have more the higher we go up.
I think you and I were yesterday when we were dealing with like the poor kids in India and how some of them didn't have like plates to eat the food on, and like how a lot of them only came to school because school was giving out food, and they knew that that was a good way to get the kids to go get their education, but some of them didn't have plates, and the guy bought them the plates so that and they were all really pleased how it was like a big deal for them. They had plates to eat their food on, something that we, a luxury that we kind of
for them.
Yeah, we just don't even put a lot of thought into. I bring that up to say, life, it's just a lottery. It's just a lottery. It's not fair. Like where you are is where you're born, who you're born to, how wealthy the people you are in the midst of is, like what genetics are passed down to you, whether you're a boy, whether you're a girl, whether you live and die. It seems to be a dice roll, and it's super unfair. We're lucky to be here, going through this list, because life could go a hell of a lot of different ways at any moment, and that's truly unfortunate. But ways people lost their innocence.
It's humbling in a way, wouldn't you say?
What's tumbling?
Comforting that even if things get hard, you're well off enough that you can be doing this.
That's what I was implying. Is that, you and I are lucky to be here. That's what I said.
Sorry, I'm doing it again.
Yep. Number 32. My father had a girlfriend that had 3 daughters. I was 11, and the older daughter was 13. She saw some stuff happening between her mother and father and wanted to share what she saw. Oh. Somebody said, and by that you mean... And then somebody wrote couples yoga. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, it's not that bad. It's a girlfriend, and the girlfriend has daughters. I don't know. Come on. It's not that bad. It's not like they're related.
I mean, you came into existence for that particular reason.
It's not like they're related. Number 31. Ways people lost their innocence. My father forgot to hide the Easter egg. I woke up and found them still in the carton. I hid them all over the house and never told my siblings or my father that I was the one who hid them. I just wanted to see them happy. Oh, I guess so there's no Easter bunny now. Oh, big deal. Number 30. The first time I put a needle in my arm. 8 years sober, though. Well, that's when you lost your innocence, huh, boy? Drugs are a terrible thing. The ones that'll get you addicted, anyway.
Kyle.
What?
How did you learn Santa wasn't real, or did you never actually believe?
Never believed Santa was real. I don't grow up in that corny ass existence, you know what I mean, homie? It's a really random and silly lie to tell your kids.
I believed in Santa.
It's adorable. You know, come into terms with the fact that your parents are liars and that they've been lying because under their impression, these things have kept you in line, and there are lies that, you know, in their mind are definitely worth telling over and over if it justifies the end, you know. Whatever means, in fact, justifies the end is a very fucking, you know, particularly shaky concept that even they know they can't defend if they were grilled particularly on it. But I think most parents have children that don't have time to waste on stupid ass arguments with their parents that they fucking probably understand that the parents will take to their grave before they would ever admit that they're wrong about. You know what I'm talking about? Like, we value our time, so we're not gonna grill them about it. That we're still alive. So again, a parent that has a kid that's alive has done their stupid job as best they could, you know, because a lot of parents kill their kids. That's a list that we should do.
Is that a thing that happens? I didn't know.
What are you fucking talking about? We can't make something up that hasn't happened. So you're asking me if there are parents who don't kill their kids, even if only we were to focus only on neglect and not murder. Of course kids die. Because a parent's bullshit. You know what I mean?
I was just trying to rile you up. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's not really a joke when it's just you being a... Number 30. The first time I put a needle in my arm, and that was 8 years ago. I'm sober now. I really hope nobody in the stream is dealing with, drug issues. Because that sucks. Drug issues suck. I don't want that for any of you. For everybody who is here live, I wish you the best and hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm also trying out this new microphone, so hopefully it's working well. I could make it louder, but I don't think I need to, so I'm going to turn that back down to right about there. Let me go ahead and, looks like we're at a good audio balance here as well, so we're going to continue. Number 29. Oh, this is a low. Boy. Oh, boy. Oh, Jimmy Jewel. Oh, Miss Strawberry Snickles. Okay, so what we're gonna do is just, we're gonna break right on into it. What was a way you lost your innocence? Number 29. When I was a kid, my friends and I used to look forward to every summer together in a way that I never have been able to since, and I've gotten older, and I've become a guy making his way through his 20s. Looking back on my childhood, it seems like we were always together, and we're always spending our time at the township pool, playing in our backyards, riding our bikes to get ice cream, playing video games, and finding ways to extend our time together for as long as possible until our moms called us home for dinner, or when it started to get dark outside. Where's that sentence's beginning? You see it? You see it there anywhere? No, there it is. Yeah. Looking back on my childhood, it seems like we were always together and we were always spending our time in the township pool, playing in our backyards, riding our bikes to get ice cream, playing video games, and spending our way to and the sentence never ends. I never thought that those days would ever end, and I never wanted them to. I gotta stop. Okay, even now, I feel like those were the happiest days of my life. Well, we all know that nothing lasts forever, and that we all have to grow up sometime. I guess it just wasn't looking forward to it as much as my friends were when we were 12. Every summer, nearly every person where I live makes their way to the beach for as long as they can for vacation. My friends and I always looked forward to these times because we love swinging in the ocean and playing wiffle ball on the sand. Wiffle ball. Going down to the
What's whiffer?
Wiffle ball. You know what wiffle ball is?
No, what's wiffle ball?
Let's take a look. I'm going to go ahead and get you a video of wiffle ball. Yeah, I'm telling you about backyard wiffle ball tournament. Just a bit of that wiffle ball. Okay, let's go ahead and get in there. You see any black people playing this sport? Okay, there you go. It's like we don't have a lot of space, but let's play baseball. But I don't want it to be too dangerous. Okay?
So it's miniature softball?
I don't care. That's what it is. I don't mean to call it out on being a very white activity, but I don't think me and the homies ain't gonna be getting together to play no wiffle ball. I'm kidding. I don't have homies. But if you'd like to be a homie, you could leave a little something down there in the monkey bar. You know what I'm talking about?
Did you see yesterday that someone left you a tip?
How?
With the Google thing. They sent you money with a little dollar sign over there.
Well, I appreciate that kind of stuff. Just kidding. I need to...
Mega Chat. I think it's called Super Chat or something.
It's called Super Chat. Look. Let's get back to this damn story, okay? He's talking about his vacation. I think he's being long-winded. I think looking at the size of this, he's being a bit long-winded. But I'm sure it will pay off. So what we're going to do is just go back and start from the beginning. Every summer, nearly every person where I live makes their way to the beach for as long as they can for a vacation. My friends and I always look forward to these times because we love swimming in the ocean and playing wiffle ball on the sand, going down to the arcades and blowing our money on dozens of games, and of course we loved going on as many amusement park rides as possible on the boardwalk while stuffing our faces with cotton candy and ice cream until we practically hurled from all of it. It was the summer before 7th grade, and that August when we were all at the beach for a few days, I felt like I was having the best summer of my life. June and July had been so much fun, and I made so many lasting and unforgettable memories with my friends by the time that August rolled around, and we all headed to the beach with our families for what would usually be the last hurrah of our summer vacation. For some reason, my friends told me that they didn't want to play basketball at the park one night like we always used to, and instead they wanted to go up to the boardwalk. I was confused because for years we had always played hoops whenever we could, and went to the boardwalk to go on the rides and to play video games. I figured that would be partaking in the latter activities until my friend Joe said, "Oh yeah, wear khaki shorts and a polo." I wasn't sure why I needed to get dressed up to play arcade games and go on rides, and I said, all right, whatever. And I showed up that night to meet my friends at the boardwalk with the nicest clothes that I could wear that I had bought from PacSun that summer. I got to the boardwalk and saw my friends standing around, looking like they were all dressed for a date or something. When we all started walking along the boards and I tagged along, unsure where we were going. We walked for a few minutes and my friend spotted a group of teenage girls and guys our age who were all posted up along the railing on benches looking out near the ocean. My friend stopped walking and did the same and started sizing up the guys and ogling the girls wearing the flip-flops and the shorts and spaghetti strap tops. I just sat there not saying a word while my friends started talking about which girls they wanted to talk to, who they wanted to get with, and what they were going to say to get to first base with the girls. None of them really knew what to do, so we ended up sitting on the bench for 20 minutes until we saw that the group of guys and the girls start to walk away from us down the boards. All of a sudden, two drunk blonde girls with cigarettes and red Solo cups loudly announced their presence to us by stumbling up the boards from behind us and yelling unintelligible things at us. They must have been in high school, probably around 16 or so by the looks of it. My friends didn't miss a beat and raced up to them to start talking to them, but the girls weren't interested in talking. They immediately started sloppily making out with all 5 of my friends while I stood off in the distance and watched it all unfold. Their sloppy kissing only lasted about 30 seconds, but that was all my buddies needed. By the time the girls stumbled away from my friends, they were celebrating like they had hit the lottery. I didn't feel so lucky or so happy. As we walked back to our beach houses, hooting and hollering about making out with those girls, my friend Bobby noticed that I was lagging behind the rest of the group and wasn't saying anything. He dropped back from the other guys and said to me, "It's all right, you'll get some next time," and then returned to my group of friends and ahead of me. Bobby thought that I was upset and quiet because I didn't get to hook up with those drunk girls. With those other girls that we ogled for about 20 minutes on the board that night. I wasn't upset about not hooking up, and oh God, I was upset because in that moment on that night I realized that part of my childhood that made me so happy and that meant more than anything to me was gone. Where my friends were now thinking about girls and were going through the teenage experience, thinking about how sexually and romantically nearly. Oh my god. Something about the way that it's like jumbled up is killing me right now. You know?
You mean it just reads
like
really
the words are just fucking blending together. It's not a problem that I usually have, but with long-winded piss snot stories out of some fucking jizz stain of an asshole who's upset that people are actually attracted to the opposite sex, it's killing me. You know what I mean? It's killing me. If you're gonna be mad that your friends are basic and their first thing was with some drunk sluts. You know what I mean? But he's just like, I don't mean to judge people on their stories. Here we go, man. Where my friends were now thinking about girls and were going through the teenage experience of thinking about them sexually and romantically nearly 24/7. I was still thinking and dreaming about the days at the pool, riding bikes around the town, playing wiffle ball in our backyards, and of days that resembled more of the life in the Sandlot before Squints put the moves on a certain Wendy Peppercorn, a reference I have no idea. Because I didn't see the Sandlot, and neither did Stripes. How do I know that, Stripes?
I saw the Sandlot.
What the fuck? You haven't seen anything, and you've seen this one thing?
Have you forgotten who raised me and who adores 80 cheesy movies?
Oh, God. While I was stuck thinking about all of that, my friends had grown up right before my eyes and had left behind the part of our friendship that we were longingly and excitingly eyeing the next phase of our lives as teenagers going through the puberty and heading closer to high school. Looking back on it now, I guess I just wasn't ready for things to be over so fast. Look how long-winded this was. A boy wrote this. This is something you'd expect a girl to write. This is something you'd expect some autistic kid. Like, how do you remember this shit so well? You know? Look how many paragraphs there were to tell a story about how his friends were really excited to get some tongue from some drunk chicks. Everything before this one in the list was like mature and pleasing to me. But I apologize to the people listening about how upset I am to fucking, read this shit. It's driving me insane. Okay.
I thought, man.
What? Number 28, short and concise. A very nice contrast for what we read initially. The internet. Okay? That's how a lot of people lose their innocence. Let's be real.
How many are left?
28?
Oh, I don't know if I can.
Then go. I enjoyed having you here, Stripes. And I'll link up with you later. I'm
sorry. It's just I slept at 7 in the morning and I'm not feeling so great.
You're fine. Thank you for joining me thus far. Hannah says that story sucked. I feel the same way, Hannah. I feel the same way. I'll catch you later, Stripes.
Mm-hmm.
Take it easy. Number 27. Failure to abstain sexually until marriage. Oh, look at him Lenny facing. He's really fucking proud of himself. The top comment was deleted. Wonder what got too edgy for Reddit there. Weird. In a list talking about ways people have lost their innocence, number 26. I think it was probably when I was 12 or 13. I got jumped and beaten up by a gang of skinheads for skateboarding. I couldn't go out in public or sleep very well for a couple of years after that. Started seeing hallucinating people with shaved heads everywhere in shops and cars walking up my driveway. Yeah, my bubble popped that day, and I realized that the world isn't all happy people and sunshine. Kudos to my mom and dad for giving me a good upbringing, I guess. I'm sorry that people have to have racist fucking experiences that, fuck with their lives. Oh well. Number 25. Nothing truly bizarre. More of melancholy. Okay. My younger brother, father, and I were just done with a wonderful day at the playground. It was one of the last few days of summer before the start of school, and we did our best to make sure it was used to the fullest. You sure you don't want to write 5 fucking paragraphs about how it's the greatest thing ever? and talk about all the dumbass sports you eat and all the candy you. Jesus Christ, I hate this guy. I hate that guy. Good, he's gone. I need to scroll back down to him. Don't worry about it. And as I got in the back of the car, I had this horrible realization, a sequence of horrible thoughts that started benign and snowballed into horror. Like, I'd like to come back here to this park next summer. I wonder if I can keep coming back here every summer. Well, obviously not every summer. It's not like Dad is going to be with us forever, or Mom, or me. And everyone in the car was wondering why my face was suddenly wet. That is, yeah, he became a man that day. Yeah, the day you realize that if you leave yourself alone with your thoughts for too long, that you'll end up, in utter despair. That's what's really going on. That is what's really going on. Well, number 24. I thought I'd seen it all. Did crazy stuff in high school, did crazy shit while in the army, been divorced from my stripper wife, bounced at a strip bar, early into the internet pursuing my CS degree, so I'd been exposed to tons of stuff in real life and online. Then I took a job while in school at a porn billing company. One of the things I had to do is review sites and make sure the content was legal before installing the billing software. Sometimes things weren't legal, child porn from Japan being one. That I expected. It was horrifying, but expected. I'd seen one image and flag it. But what made me lose my innocence was the legal stuff. Having to sift through hairy bear porn, shit porn, some BDSM stuff, and the weird stomping on ball stuff. Oh my god. I'd say most people watch porn, but you watch the porn you like. Nothing takes your innocence like seeing the range of porn you don't want to see. Revolting legal stuff others want to see. I will say, I was also introduced to more comical stuff like fat chicks and party hats or near burst balloon fetish. Oh god. Oh, I don't like balloons bursting. That's really oh boy, that's not for me. Woo. Not even in a fetish way. How could I love it? I don't even like it. In any event, I'm not the same as I once was. That's a scary fucking topic. It's thinking about porn that you don't like, because I think some of the most powerful shit in the world is something that could take your arousal, like take your boner, take you being wet, ladies, and just immediately shrivel that cock up or dry out the fucking, make it a desert down there for you ladies. Just shit that you're not into. For me, like, scat porn is one of those things, like, oh my god. But then again, seeing like gay stuff makes me go, oh, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh. Like if we were to go back into the 50s and then like show some people a video of two men kissing and have them just like freak out, and maybe the woman would scream and go ee! And all this stuff. That's how I am with a lot of the gay porn. We're talking about like the scat porn, stuff where people are mutilating their balls. Oh, any type of mutilated genitalia where they're like, oh god, I don't even like butt stuff, I'm a pretty vanilla guy. What are we talking about? Okay, what are we talking about? Number 23, throwaway here. I learned about sex firsthand when I was about 5 or 6 years old. My sister abused me, and I didn't figure out it was wrong until I was about 12. That's when the abuse stopped. That sucks. I hope nobody in the stream has had to go through abuse at a young age. There are few things truly as terrifying as that. Ugh. True things. Oof. True. Few. Fuck. Jesus, Bing Bong Christ. Jesus, Bing Bong Christ. A response reads, I wasn't going to reply, but after seeing how fucked the other responses were, I couldn't just leave it like that. So I'm just here to say I hope that you're doing better, man. Take care. What the fuck were other people saying to this? People are crazy. People are crazy. Somebody asks if the sister is distant now. And somebody else said, hopefully distant in jail. Damn. You want the sister in jail? Wow. Somebody else said, I was 8 years old and my sister and cousin wanted to play mommy. They got me to strip. They did too. They started laughing because I didn't get hard. It's been hard to keep it inside when I realized many years later that they must have been abused by my uncle and tried to copy his action. Later on, I learned my auntie, not the wife of my uncle, that he had them roped up to the fridge to violate them when he gave me lots of money to go play at the arcade to be left alone with them. The worst is that this man is still free and lots of small kids are still around him. I just can't bring it up. I feel if my cousins or sisters did not do anything about it, they might be mad if I do. Somebody else said you're putting a new generation of kids at risk because the previous generation might get mad at you. Yeah, fuck you, you cunt. Fuck you. Can't even downvote these guys' comments because the thread's archived because it's so far away. The bottom line is this, and you guys haven't been in some of my confession podcasts. I've been doing this YouTube bullshit for a long time. Don't let the lack of subscribers fool you. I don't harass people to subscribe to me or to like anything, so, I'm comfortably sitting where I want to be. A lot of girls would come into the confession podcast talking about having been abused in their past, and you'll find something very common about girls who have been abused is that they don't want to typically be broadcasting that. They don't often want to talk about it. Okay. So to all 30 of you that are in here right now, when people are actually very vocal about their abuse, you need to be cautious. I'm not saying that in every case they're liars, or that they're embellishing or exaggerating. I'm just saying, everybody's different. Everybody deals with things in different ways. I'm just saying that many people, when it comes to their abuse, it's not something that they are very fond of or in any way comfortable with revisiting. So let me tell it to you like this. A lot of the women that would come to me about their abusers, when I would ask them the question, did you report it? Did you try to get this person, to come to any kind of consequence for what they did? If the answer is no, and then the obvious question I would ask back is, why didn't you pursue justice for this person? You would get something along the lines of, well, they don't think they're going to get them. They don't think that some of the girls would say things like they don't believe that they are worth it. You know what I mean? It's just me. It's no big deal. But what I would also always throw back at them is, okay, so if you don't care about yourself, that's fine. But if you could stop this guy from doing the same thing that happened to somebody else, would you? Because, you're not caring about yourself, that's pretty selfish, I guess. You can just get away with that. It's all about you, However, if you had the ability to keep somebody else from feeling what you do, would you do that? And that's what it boils down to, is that when people do things and they get away with them, it fires them up to keep doing this thing because they've gotten away with it. Some people cannot stop. Some people can't stop until they can't. You know what I mean? Like until you stop it for them. Like go look up the Weepy Voice Killer or some shit like this. There's an actual tape from a killer where he's like crying on the phone and he's saying things along the lines of like, if you guys don't stop me, then I won't be able to stop. Whoever the stone builder is who's saying spell ICUP, enjoy your block. Is that rude? I don't give a fuck. That being said, man, I'm not saying that there would be women in here who have been abused that haven't made a move on their abuser, but like, for the love of God, you know what I mean? Like, we're not talking about like verbal abuse or shit that you can just start ignoring that person with. I'm talking about like they got your ass, they overpowered you, they penetrated you, they fucked up your existence in a way where you dare not even speak about it to another person because you're also unfortunately embarrassed about it. You have the power to stop this person from doing it again because you could be the instrument of them learning a lesson. So do that by all means. Because, like, this is even scarier. Like I said, I'm not the type of person that gives a damn. Like, if like crime is crime, bad shit is bad shit. Like, it doesn't matter if it's happening to a kid or happening to an adult. But I know that for whatever reason, society is different. Society feels it's way worse when it's happening to a child. There's so much more life ahead of them. You know what I mean? Tomorrow isn't guaranteed to anybody. It's not guaranteed to me. It's not guaranteed to you. And you know what I mean? In an hour, we could have a heart attack. In an hour, somebody could break in and try to rob the place and shoot you in the face. In an hour, like, a fucking car could just come riding off of the street the way that it doesn't need to be. In an hour, a plane could fall out of the sky because things don't go right. In an hour, somebody could fire a fucking nuke. All right? It doesn't matter if it's a kid, doesn't matter if it's an adult. You could go at any point. But if you need to think about it, like, you know, what if this person that raped you, you know, could go on to fucking get away with it with, like, younger kids, if that's what it's going to take to get you up off your ass to try and get this person, like, fucked. And it's so scary because you think to yourself, this day and age, well, how all of us are walking around with essentially a supercomputer in our pockets and we can record anything. Why are people not getting in trouble for the things that they actually did? I've gotten in trouble for things that I didn't fucking do. That's how much power women have verbally. You can just go and say some shit and that's it. But in this day and age, when you can actually have documented proof to put people down and people go, oh, well, you know, it's just me and it's whatever and I'm not going to go over it. It's just like, dude, some women wonder why they don't get respect, and it's because they don't respect themselves and they expect respect. You don't respect yourself, you expect respect? What the fuck? I'm not going to get charged up about it. My point is just this. Don't sit idly by and don't do something sometimes. You know what I mean? There are situations where you don't want to be liable. You don't want to get involved. It has nothing to do with you. It's not your business. You can't get into some shit and you don't know the flavor. You know what I mean? But when people are getting hurt, you should try to go somewhere with it. Because it's not just about the people who are being hurt that you're seeing. It's about the things that could potentially be happening that you will not see. And I guess that's my 2 cents. I hope nobody lost their innocence listening to that bullshit. At any rate, as we continue up the list, where the question being asked is, how did you lose your innocence? Number 22 reads, for the first few years that I was in elementary school, I attended exclusively Catholic institutions. While this didn't result in me being quite as sheltered as I could have been, it did encourage a few odd misconceptions about the way the world worked, particularly where people and relationships were concerned. One evening, for instance, I recounted the entire plot of the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie to my babysitter. Given that I was 6 years old at the time, my understanding of what I'd seen wasn't entirely accurate. But I got the general gist of things well enough. At the end, I told my babysitter, the Ninja Turtles had a party on the roof and April got married to Casey Jones. How do you know they got married? The girl asked me. I shrugged in reply, because they both kissed. That doesn't mean they got married, replied the babysitter, a touch of panic in her voice. She quickly changed the subject, uncomfortable, as she seemed with discussing the intricacies of human courtship rituals. Still, the brief exchange stuck in my mind until a few years later when my aunt got me Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, for Christmas. By that point in my life, age 9 or so, I had come to accept that people who kissed didn't always have to get married, but I was still hilariously naive about sex and sexuality. Granted, I'd always been excessively fascinated by it, which was what prompted me to accidentally wander into the women's locker room at the local pool. But my morally rigid upbringing had led me to believe that intercourse was done solely for procreation and solely between married couples. Anything else was scandalous at best or outright reprehensible at worst. The perspective is why it took me so long to figure out what Jim Carrey was doing to Courtney Cox while The Lion Sleeps Tonight was playing. At first I wondered if I was viewing an earthquake, or if the myriad animals in the scene who were watching the action rather intently were shaking the bed somehow. When the truth of the matter finally dawned on me, my mind reeled at the realization. Those characters weren't married. Why would they try to have a baby outside of wedlock? Was this one of those recreational rolls in the hay? Was that actually okay? My entire worldview seemed to shift in that moment. I experienced an almost physical sensation of shock, embarrassment, panic, and maybe just the tiniest hint of arousal. Bing bong. So as we proceed up this list, number 21. I didn't lose it all in one sitting, it took 7 years. But I can definitely recall when I first knew I'd be raising myself. It was kindergarten, and we had been practicing 6 songs that we would sing to our parents. It took us 2 months of singing, but was pretty cool since I still remember almost every song. Anyway, the time came for my dad to come. Mom worked days and Dad worked nights, so he could be with us when we got home. I had asked him every day for a week if he would be there. He said he would. There was no bigger excitement as a kindergartner to show your parents what you learned in school. I love school. T-minus 2 hours until we would sing for all of our parents, and I am sent to the office to talk to my dad on the phone. Daddy, hey Chris man, I won't be able to make it. I'm going to call your grandma and papa to come. When we began singing and all the parents and grandparents were gathered around for our songs, I looked endlessly for someone I knew. I saw no one. During the final song, we ended it with pointing to the person we love. And in a final desperate attempt to find who I was looking for, I pointed at the door. Nothing. My teacher saw it and wore the sadness that I did not show. I think I waited outside for someone to pick me up for 2 hours. My mom was livid when she had gotten off work early to get me. Walking in the front door and seeing my dad asleep on the couch didn't break my heart. It just made me feel alone. It made me think for myself and not let anyone in. My dad later became the person I most despise in my life. Of course, I didn't understand all of this until years later, but the feelings were there. Whoa. Whoa. That is some pretty intense stuff. Okay. That was pretty intense. Jesus Christ. We're coming down to 20. So 20 ways people lost their innocence. Number 20. My parents were fairly strict while I was growing up. They would never let me watch movies or TV shows rated for someone above my age and did not let me pick my own music to listen to. I didn't really think anything of it. I just figured all the kids had the same kind of thing going on with them. Well, when I was around the age of 9 or 10, I went on a field trip and sat next to a kid who had the new Eminem CD. Well, he showed me the song Kim, and I had never heard anything so revolting. I listened to it probably 5 times in a row with this kid. I loved to hate this song. It led to me starting to sneak Eminem listening sessions, and it opened my eyes to the less innocent side of music. It felt similar to the time I found a crumpled up, torn out page from a penthouse in a gutter while walking home from school, before I knew what a vagina looked like. Well, there's that. Number 19. Was gonna post this on a throwaway because I know a few of my mates know me my Reddit, but hopefully they've forgotten it anyway. When I was 12, I was a good surfer, and by good I mean great. I had sponsors coming up and saying that I had something special. Damn, at 12 years old, that's what's up. I'd be big someday. You know, all the shit that these companies tell kids to absolutely beg their parents to let them chase their dreams. Well, I mean, it worked. By the time I was 14, I had been to parties with Slater, Fanning, Parkinson, D'Souza. I don't know who any of these people are. Well, when I was going to all these things, I met my best mate. He was 18 and also a really good surfer. When we went on tour together, he'd always monk with me and make me his point of focus. He didn't want me to get corrupted and lose faith in the waves, you know? Well, one holiday we were at my holiday home, and we went out for a quick early morning surf before we headed into Byron to meet with some of his friends. The waves were rough. I came in, couldn't handle it, and stayed out there. Said he needed the practice and all that. Okay. I stayed on the rocks waiting for him to come in, wanting to watch and learn from Sean, see how I could improve. So obviously I was focusing on him a lot. And when he finally came in, a wave rose and dumped him right onto a rock. I saw my best friend die. And it was because I didn't call out to him. The smile on his face was something I'm not going to forget, but neither was that moment there. I don't ever think I'll be able to surf competitively again. That's what he and I did together, and now he's gone. Sorry for the poor English, teared up slightly writing it, and I just don't know how to write in words. Holy crap. Oh my god, number 18 is 3 words. Child molesting uncle. My heart goes out to all of these people that... The world's a terrible place, you know? The world's a terrible place. And earlier I said something that I genuinely mean, dude. You know? Your parents are people too. And they're gonna make bad decisions, they're gonna make good decisions. You know, if you're alive, they did what their job was. You know? But, you know, we see these terrible stories with these cops, you know, shooting minorities and shooting younger people. And it's just like, fuck, man. These are just assholes with guns. You know, you can call them a cop, but I'm not saying all cops are bad, obviously. Many cops do what they do, and they do enough to get by, you know. Hey, we're people. We're people at the end of the day. And some of us, you know, you give us a little more power than the others. What are we going to do? We're going to flex that power sometimes. It's not the end of the world. And, you know, sometimes just having a gun by your side makes you a little more heightened as it pertains to what's going on around you. You got to stay on guard because sometimes people are after you in a capacity that you're not even after them. You know, you hear phrases like they're more scared of you than you are of them. You don't know that half the time. But as it pertains to shit like this, I mean, fuck, man. You want to believe that people aren't capable of some of the cruelty that they can manage. And worst off, when you're young, you're experiencing the world with only the people nearest you, and we're talking about family, as your guides, you know, as you're testing the consistency of the world around you through sight and touch and smell and, you know, visual understanding as you perceive the routines and the ins and outs of what make people, you know. The only people that you can truly reach out to and not be too scared of or too embarrassed in the midst of are your family members. You know, these are the people that you should be able to trust at the very least. Whether they're great, whether they're not so great, you should be able to trust them. You should be able to be comfortable with them. And for some fucking motherfucker that's related to you to take advantage, oh my God, it just sucks. Because with a child, sometimes maybe they don't even understand that it's so wrong. And it's terrifying. It's horrible. Fuck these people. You know, where do you continue in life? You know, at least some of the people that go overseas, when they come back and the world doesn't treat them so well, at least they had the chance to grow up before that veil was pulled from over them, you know? But imagine being a child and growing up under the impression that the people around you are people you can trust, and then coming to the heart-crushing realization that no, these people you can't trust. These people don't have your best interest at heart. Like, who the fuck can you trust? If not your parents, if not your family, then you're hoping to go out and find a stranger that's got your back, you know? That's not just gonna lie to you and feed you lip service. It's scarring. It's shit that'll fuck you right up. Somebody else says right here with you, dude, only it was a neighbor. And my parents found out, then proceeded to ignore it because they were good family friends? Oh, God. Oh my God. Man. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do here. Okay, let's just go. Holy crap. Ways people lost their innocence. Number 17. I thought I had lost it many times until I crossed the border into Iraq, oh God, in 2003. Events that occurred in the following 6 months of sustained combat operations pretty much destroyed whatever innocence I ever had. Heavy stuff. When you killing kids, that's when you know you grown the fuck up, man. Some of these kids were born and they put a gun in their hands and they say, hey, you shoot anything that moves. You see somebody that don't look like us, you shoot them. And you out there killing this killer be killed. You got to kill people that may be arming something that's going to kill everybody around you. Fuck me. War, bro. Number 15. Driving a car when I was 11 so my dad could hit his crack pipe and get his fix. Oh my God. True story. My mom would always make him take me with him in hopes that he would go where he said he would. We were supposed to be going to get things for dinner, but I knew as soon as we left, we weren't because the neighborhood we went to. Well, after he got his rock, he pulled over and said, I need you to drive, son. I looked to my dad, so I thought he wanted to teach me to drive. Then as soon as I got in the driver's seat, he pulls out his pipe, puts his rock in it, and lit up. That was the day I lost my innocence as well as the respect for my dad. Also, that's the day I learned what crack was. Crack, nigga, not cocaine. Fuck. You poor kid. You poor kid, dude. Jesus Christ. Ooh, he made it out. He's typing this message. I hope things are better. All we can do is hope things are better, man. So many lives going through something terrible. Number 14. My first girlfriend was when I was 16. She got me into ecstasy, weed, partying, and not to mention the craziest sex I've ever had to this day. I lost my virginity to her. Last I checked, she was in and out of jail. Looks haggard as hell. Well, okay. Ecstasy. Somebody said they lost their innocence to happy tree friends. Come on now. Come on now. Number 12 says, seeing my father cry. Oh. My old man was a Green Beret in Vietnam. Damn. Voluntarily enlisted. Went back for extra tours. He was an underground geologist who became head of the operations for a major mining company. I have personally witnessed him brutally beat down 3 men half his age because they thought the old-timer with the funny accent, he's Southern, we lived in Canada at the time, was an easy mark. Then my mom was diagnosed with cancer. First breast, then ovarian, then endometriosis. All terminal. They gave her a very short window of time to live. She got sick fast, and the treatments kept her hovering around death's door for a long time. There were days she couldn't walk, days she could barely speak. My old man at the time was working out of the country, so he'd gone for 3 weeks, home for 1. I was a kid, but I was pulling his share of the work around the house just to keep things running in his stead, despite some severe mental and emotional issues of my own that were frankly crippling my ability to function like a normal kid. One day, I was walking from my bedroom to the bathroom at night while Mom was downstairs watching television. I passed by his room, saw him sitting on the edge of the bed clutching one of her nightgowns and crying. Weeping, really. Body shaking, dry heaving, rocking back and forth a little. I had never seen him so much as shed a tear, and this was him about to collapse. I waited for a moment, and I remember hearing him say, I can't kill it. I can't kill it. Over and over. That was the first time I realized that my mom was actually as sick as she was, and that my old man wasn't made of stone. I still wish I'd said something. Pretty heavy stuff, am I right? Oh boy. In a blink of an eye, something could just pop in our brains, and we could be a vegetable. Could easily fall off the bed in the middle of the night, hit somewhere that, we shouldn't hit on our bodies. Some asshole with nothing to lose could just stumble into our path and fuck us right up. What? It hasn't happened yet, so we should try to live in appreciation. What are some ways that people lost their innocence? Number 11. When I was about 6, one of my older brothers was afraid I was going to grow up to be gay, so he took me into his room and showed me his stash of Playboys and made me read them. The articles were actually pretty good. The boobs were neat. I still turned out gay, but it introduced me to the films of Tarantino because of the movie reviews, and I soon discovered penises when I moved on to looking at Penthouse and other dirtier magazines. Now I'm super gay, thanks to my brother introducing me to Playboy articles. The boobs were neat. Oh, look at those are boobs. Wow, neat boobs. Oh my god. Now, what am I doing over there? Yeah. What? It turned out super gay. I don't know what to say about that. Let's go ahead. Number 10 is deleted, and I don't even think there's going to be context clues here. Oh, look at that. Well, number 10 is deleted, but there's a response that's been gilded. Someone says, "Bro, I know the feeling. This was a year ago. I was 15. My mother was drunk on a warpath when I got home one night. She had ordered pizza and breadsticks. I made the mistake of grabbing one of the breadsticks since, she had an entire pizza as well. This was the wrong choice. She started flipping shit at me, yelling at how I was always eating her food and mooching from her life." Is your mom? Okay. How old were you? You were 15? Okay. I tried to walk past her to my room, and she pushed me and kept trying to get closer to instigate a fight. She's a very manipulative person, so I knew if I did, people would believe her story since she is an A+ liar. Aren't most women? I kept my cool until she hit me across the face with her phone. I pushed her into the fridge and went to my room. She tried to force herself in. I say for 2 hours with my back against the door, and she tried to force her way into the room, all while yelling how worthless I was and how nobody would ever want me around. After I had enough, I got up, opened the door, pushed her down the hall, slammed the door, and punched it, making a hole in the door. I then decided I was running. I made a barricade, got my bag 3 pair of jeans on and my military jacket, and headed out my window into negative 40 degrees Celsius Canadian winter. My apartment lot was on a straight highway that led into town. On the highway was the police station. I knew she would see I was gone and call the police, so I booked it and got away. The worst part is that while I was in my room, someone called the house, and the switch flicked in her head, and she went from raging drunk to the nicest person you will ever meet, talking about the day and everything. I eventually went back to grab my possessions she hadn't sold. When I went to my room, I saw the holes in the wall where she had taken a tomahawk axe and made it look like I had done it. She told the police I was high on meth and cocaine, and she spread around the school and ruined a better portion of my high school life. I don't talk to her anymore, and the rest of my family hates me for it. They don't understand why I won't just get over it. I know how you feel, man. I wish I could say this was when I lost my innocence. Oh my god. This is some fucking hardcore shit, son. This list is legit. At any rate, that being said, I feel terrible, that a lot of people live with monsters like this. Jesus Christ. And yeah, it is kind of chilling, as he says, how somebody called and she immediately just switched into this other person. Because yeah, a lot of people are like that, you know. We are like that to a certain degree. We get considerably fake when we're dealing with assholes we don't want to deal with, you know what I mean? But to slander, you know, this is your kid. And you're calling the police. You're making up this shit. You're going above and beyond. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You're tomahawk. You're throwing an axe into walls and saying that he did it. What the fuck? Kid's 15 years old. You know what I mean? The crazy thing is, and it's not like I'm not new to life. Okay, I know things happen. I know mistakes happen. You know, and not all of us can see the future. But think long and hard, ladies. If you're having a baby and you didn't want this baby, you're not going to abort this baby, and you're not going to put this baby up for adoption, don't make the fucking kid feel like trash because you didn't want them. They didn't ask to be brought into this shit. You see what I'm saying? You can't blame a kid that you got to support this little nigga. You know what I mean? When you brought them into this world, you brought them here. They didn't ask for this shit. Don't project your problems onto other people. It doesn't just apply to fucking kids, you know what I mean? Fucking own up to your shit. It's so fucking sad. It burns my soul. Like, can feel the deterioration of anything that I would consider feelings relevant to a heart, like people say that I should have. Because I know that my greatest weapon in the fucking world is my camera. And don't let it happen to you. Don't let it happen to you where you only come to this realization that, like, you know, the legal system and the law and justice isn't in your favor unless you have money, because unless you can prove what's going down, that's all that fucking matters. So the greatest weapon any of us have is a fucking camera, is something to record and document what goes down, because stories change all the fucking time, and at the end of the day, it's gonna be all about what a jury of fuckboys fucking believes. You know what I mean? If it goes to court, it's about what the jury believes. And hilariously, even if they have the video evidence and everybody on the jury says not guilty, you know what I mean? Then it's not guilty, my nigga. It's about being able to prove shit beyond a reasonable doubt. But you know what I mean? But people come into this it's just like, it's the world you live in, man. It's the world you live in, and you gotta live that life. And it's sad, but it's true. And there you go. I feel bad, but it's true. So pray for these little kids that, you know, don't have access to camera phones and shit like this, and people that'll believe them, because they are genuinely fucked. All we can do is be happy that this guy got away and he didn't freeze to death out there, and he made it, you know? We got this mom, this petty ass mom, trying to make this nigga life difficult, like spreading shit at his high school and telling the police all this bullshit. And now the rest of this dude's family doesn't like him. But you know why? Because the person that the mom is to the rest of the family is not who she really is to this little nigga. And that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Pour them. Number 9 on the list of what ways people lost their innocence. Let me see that thumbnail again. Was that a good thumbnail I made? 37 ways people lost their innocence. Oh, there's a Dr. Seuss thing. Hilarious. I gotta put more work into these thumbnails. Jesus. Okay, number 9. Some people say 9/11, but mine is related to 9/11. In 2005, I was 2 years out of high school, and many of my friends joined the military. Some deployed, some had nice cushy jobs in Hawaii or overseas in Japan, Germany, or Italy. In May 2005, life wasn't a game anymore. I had taken my last final exam and went home to get ready to enjoy summer. My cell phone was vibrating crazy in my pocket, but with the excitement of getting home, I didn't look at it. My house phone rings and says my dad says my grandma called him a little while ago and told me one of the best friends had been killed in Iraq. I didn't believe it. It couldn't happen. He was too nice to die. He was going to come home and be a special education teacher and keep being his goofy self. But this was real. The day they brought him home, a bunch of our football teammates met up to welcome him home, so to speak. Many of us had not seen each other since graduation for a bit, and it was nice to cut up and joke to keep our minds off of everything. There was a hush throughout the crowd that had gathered. Many of them never knew our friend, and it began to sink in. As the first police motorcycle off of the highway exit and the hearse came into view, we were all hit with the same 100-pound boulder in the chest. Sniffles, crying, arms around shoulders to welcome our friend home. At that moment, life was real. We weren't made of titanium, and our friends weren't just able to die in car accidents, illnesses, or freak accidents. They could die in war. We were no longer boys. We had grown up. I'm a grown-ass man, ladies and gentlemen. But it might shock you to know that as early as perhaps 12 years old, I'd had the mentality of a grown-ass man. And, you know, we live our lives as individuals, so we all may have different definitions of what innocence is. But if I could impart one thing on all of the people listening to this, whether you're in the stream chat right now, or, you know, you're watching this video after the fact, it's for you not to take not just your existence, but the existence of other people's for granted. Because we, as I frequently and blatantly make apparent, we could lose our lives at any moment, son. Don't just think car accidents. Don't just think illnesses. Don't just think, you know, you going out, you know. I'm a person who loves to stay inside. Okay? But that doesn't mean tons of things could happen inside this house that could easily and effectively take my life. A fire could start. I could be trapped, you know. I could literally just out of nowhere have trouble breathing. Something's wrong with my lungs, or things can't get down my nasal passage. I could choke while eating. You know what I mean? Something could go wrong in my brain. I could just fucking bleed out. This shit could happen to anyone. Anyone. Instantly. You're not guaranteed the next hour. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. And you need to live your life accordingly. One of the things that I constantly am hyper aware of is everyone's mortality. So, hilariously, it makes me a better person, if you can believe that. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I'm just saying that with many of the interactions that I deal with other people, you know what I mean? And not just because I hate dealing with other people, or when I'm talking to somebody, or when I go out into the real world, I'm considering it like a countdown to when I can be alone and not be bothered by anybody. It's not just because I hate being taken out of, you know, what I would prefer to be doing. It's the fact that I have to look objectively at many things. I force myself to equip perspective. So when you're arguing about whatever stupid thing, when you're having some squabble with some person that's close to you, or that is family, make damn sure that when you're done, you end this shit in a way that's fucking reasonable, you know? Because some things ain't worth fighting about. And even though you can definitely, both people understand where some people are coming from when people have, they're upset about some things. Sometimes it's just the little things piling up and everybody has a breaking point. You know what I mean? It's not really about the thing that people are arguing about half the time. It's about everything else that they got going on coming out in this one way. This is the manifestation of their frustration and their anger about things that are going on that they have no one perhaps to share it with. Everybody needs their outlets. And I always encourage people to have outlets that don't hurt other people. But in the same way that you're trying to be considerate of other people with these outlets, I pray that you be considerate of yourself and other people, as far as like being realistic about whether or not it's worth you wasting time and energy on feeling negative ways about people that you don't know you'll speak to again in your future. You know, not trying to get up anybody's ass or get up my own ass. Just saying, you know, because don't think that I haven't had like screaming matches with people. And when I say screaming matches, I mean I've been screamed at. Now, I'm the type of person to reciprocate some horse shit about that. I've had people scream at me about like a towel not being folded properly, or like spoons not being in the right place. You know what I mean? Life is too short for this stupid ass shit. You want to stress yourself? Don't, fine. But don't try to take other people down with you. Live realistically and make some damn sense, because it's outrageous. I hope everybody's having a great day, by the way, and that your week so far has been good, that your weekend is even better. You know, no matter when you're listening to it, I just hope that you have a good time and that things make sense for you. Hope you're enjoying the stream, everybody in the chat. I see somebody getting timed out. They must be an idiot in that stream chat right now. Wow. At any rate, number 8. I was 10 or 11 years old. I was woken up by my parents yelling and fighting. About 30 minutes in, I heard them make up. Oh, I bet that's how you fucking became a man. You know what I'm talking about? Hey guys, I've decided that I should incorporate the chat into the stream, or the video of the stream, so to speak. So that's not really something that's gonna affect anything. Just gonna kind of put it over there, and then what I'm gonna do is modify the window of this here so that all of this shit is nice and visible. Boy. Move that over. Move that. Come on, just make it even squigglier. Okay, that seems fantastic. We should go from there. Oh boy. Number 7. In ways that people have lost their innocence. Whoa, this isn't spaced right, you try hard. Get yourself. Sorry. That's better. That's way better. Crunchitize me, Cap. Now, number 7. In ways people have lost their intimacy. Kyle, come on. I grew up in a rough household. But anyways, when things got too rough between my mom and stepdad or whatever boyfriend she had at home, she would send me over to one of her ex-husband's house for the weekend. What do you mean one of her ex-husband's house? Maybe the ex-husband had multiple houses or something. This particular ex-husband was a drunk asshole. Okay, no. She probably had multiple ex-husbands that she would send the kid to. I can't imagine why the ex-husband, who is not the father of this kid, would want to deal with him. But let's not focus too hard on it. We're going to go ahead and start this one over, as not to lose momentum. I grew up in a rough household, but anyways, when things got too rough between my mom and my stepdad or whatever boyfriend she had at home, she would send me over to one of her ex-husband's houses for the weekend. This particular ex-husband was a drunk alcoholic. A drunk alcoholic, huh? Fuck me. One night he was getting wasted on Jack Daniels and started waving his handgun around, then coerced me over to him and introduced me to a game of Russian roulette. Pointed at his head and click, nothing happened. Second round, pointing at mine, click, nothing happened. I was confused, didn't know what was going on, what gibberish he was talking, etc. On the third round, he pointed at his head, pulled the trigger, a loud pop, followed by a red mist, as the side of his head blew skull fragments all over the kitchen table. One thing you'll never forget is the blood and agonal breathing as a person dies, then no more. Neighbors heard it, rushed over, called mom, picked me up. Not a hug from my mom or any consolation or anything at all. No emotions. Nothing. I was 6. Dude, that's how you start a fucking book that I'd read. You know what I'm talking about? Holy fucking monkey balls. Holy fucking monkey balls. The nigga pointed the gun at the kid, dude. The nigga pointed the gun at the kid. He was like, oh my god. Oh my bing bong. Whoa. He said, update, thanks for the gold. My childhood was hell with false hopes, kind of like God dangling a carrot in front of you from heaven, but then reeling it back up when you got too close. Look, man, that's scary, dude. Number 6. When I was 5, 2 men broke into my house. sodomized, beat, and attempted to murder my mother. She was pregnant at the time. They were hired to do so by a very unstable woman. I was present, awake, and hiding in a room about 10 feet away. My mom and I both heard the men break in, and she insisted I hide. Told me not to come out no matter what I heard. The two men and women are currently serving 30 years sentences in prison. My mom lived but never fully recovered and committed suicide several years down the road. And in 30 years, those assholes will get to, get out and live a life. It became national news at the time, so I'd rather keep additional details vague. But you don't really ever get back to be an innocent state after something like that. Okay. Number 5. Let me respace this because it's getting a little monkey now that we're getting higher in the thread. Number 5. When I was younger, my mother had a seizure. She was unresponsive and taken to the hospital. Initially, I was extremely worried because my mom was placed into a drug-induced coma. However, everyone was extraordinarily optimistic and positive. Their positivity led me to believe she was expected to make a full recovery. This was not the case. After a couple months of my mom still being in the coma, my naive little mind still believed my mom would be coming home someday due to overwhelmingly, there's no Lee on that, due to overwhelming positivity of the community. While walking around the hall of the hospital with my immediate family, it was casually mentioned how 50% of her brain has deteriorated. And if she were to wake up at that very moment, she probably couldn't talk and may not even recognize anyone. The reality of the situation hit me like a brick soaring through the air. I realized my mom would not be waking up. After another month, the decision was made to pull the plug. She died and I was woken up and told the news. Despite knowing this event was inevitable, I still felt like I had been sucker punched in the gut. I wept and did not move for the rest of the day. Bing bong. Oh boy. I could read this. A response reads, "I'm so sorry for your loss. This hit home for me. This past January, my mom suddenly got ill. Eventually, she said she needed to go to the hospital. She had an autoimmune disease, so even little things could take her down for a couple of days. We just thought this was a little worse than normal, and that she was just super dehydrated and just needed to get some medical care. The next 2 weeks were hell, probably worse for my dad, who got the news from Singapore, where they were living at the time. This all happened on the east coast of the US. I can't imagine how he felt getting on 3 different flights to travel 24 hours around the globe, all while not being able to get updates on your wife in the hospital. Somehow, things deteriorated to the doctors finding a small tear in her aorta, which we're fairly certain was caused by them. Think there's actually some legal stuff we're still dealing with there. To being transported to a better hospital that could perform a couple major surgeries on her. She somehow made it through 2 pretty big heart surgeries, and we really thought if she got through that, she's got to get through the rest of it. She too was in an induced coma. When they brought her out of it, an induced coma, Jesus Christ. When they brought her out of it, we didn't know if she was going to wake up. Just a roller coaster every hour. Sometimes a bit of good news, sometimes a bit of bad. We just wanted her to open her eyes. She didn't. After a couple more days, the doctors told us all her internal organs were starting to shut down. There was virtually nothing more they could do. In the best case scenario, she'd wake up, but likely have brain damage and be a totally different person. Having to say goodbye to my mom is the hardest fucking thing I've ever had to do. She was supposed to be at my graduation. She got me to that point because of all her hard work. It all happened so suddenly, I don't even remember the last thing she said to me. I think it was, I need to go to the hospital. I can't imagine that it must have been like as a young kid to go through that. I'm so sorry for your loss. Oh, this Reddit. Yeah, guys, this Reddit list is from a year ago. And it's impressive how serious it is. It's impressive how serious a list this is. It's not even marked serious. It's not even marked serious. You know? How many meme answers do you think there'd be if they asked this question on Reddit today, son? Jeez. Well, let's go ahead and get through it. Number 4. Finding my brother in his room thinking he was sleeping, to later in the day realize he was dead. Oh, shit. What happened? They asked. He had been arrested the day before for some reason and had to be kept at the station overnight. He was released in the morning and due to certain circumstances had to walk home, which was a ridiculous distance. Cue younger me running into his room about 3 hours after he got home, wanting to wake him from his nap. I was bouncing on him and shit. I had assumed he was just in a deep sleep, so I left him alone. Later, my mom walked in and had noticed that he was all blue, which was when it all started. Heroin overdose. Maybe suicidal. Maybe not. Drugs, baby. You know, maybe suicidal. Number 3. Ways people lost their innocence. Ways people lost their innocence. When I was 6 or 7, a psycho poisoned all of the dogs in my neighborhood one by one. The last 2 to die were mine. Jesus Christ. What the fuck? Somebody says, same happened to my dogs. Turned out to be a farmer taking preventative measures because he was putting sheep in a field close by. My dogs were tiny and only ever left the house to do their business. Jeez, you fucking killing the dogs? Oh my god. Number 2. Dad left. Mom cried. I was convinced Santa was still going to come. He didn't. Tough weekend. Man, I don't need to read this edit. You got me fucked up. The number 1 comment. Oh my god, it's a doozy. Buckle up. This is the number 1 comment in the ways people lost their innocence list. And it reads, okay. When I was 5, I had a crush on this cute blonde-haired girl, Danielle, maybe 6 to 8 years older than me. She lived 2 houses down on the same side of the street. Remember in kindergarten how you would grow a bean in a little serving milk carton to give to your mom on Mother's Day? My parents were convinced, and I lived with my dad. Convinced? That says divorced. My parents were divorced. It's not funny. Divorce ain't funny. And I lived with my dad. I gave Danielle mine. Oh. Our backyards were joined and set lower than the houses. In the fall, it would flood a few inches deep and then freeze when the winter came. She would go outside and ice skate, spinning around, pirouettes, and all that stuff, and I would watch her from my back window, and I wasn't like I was peeping or being perverted or anything. It was like watching falling stars, completely mesmerizing. This is not going to go well for Danielle. I was incredibly socially awkward, and I would just stroll on over to her house to talk. Not every day, but like every couple of weeks. Her dad would answer the door, laugh, and go get her. I usually brought dandelions I just picked, probably out of the front yard. She was always sweet to me, and I was a ratty kid. This went on until I hit puberty. It wasn't long after, I must have been in an early middle school, she was murdered. Well, that came unceremoniously. It wasn't long after, I must have been in early middle school, she was murdered during spring break. She was the first person I knew personally that died. I know I am putting her on a pedestal, but she was that shining bit of pure light in my adolescence. I know for most people, that light is their mother, but mom was a mess, and I knew it even then. And when Danielle was murdered, I realized that the world could be a shitty place. I saw her dad from time to time. I always made sure to say hello and chat him up. Danielle was his only child, and you could see he lost a piece of his soul. One time, maybe 5 or 6 years after, we were chatting about baseball or something, and out of nowhere he says, "Remember when you used to bring her dandelions?" Insta tears for both of us. We hugged it out, both said we missed her. I think she's the only girl I have ever loved with a pure non-sexual love that I wasn't related to. Does that even make any sense? I guess you could call it platonic. But honestly, I don't think that word does it justice. Anyways, Danielle, wherever you are, I miss you. Ugh. Holy crap. There's your list, people. There's your list. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope you guys are good. Hope you guys are making sense of your day. You know what I mean? Man, life is a bit real, unfortunately. Life is a bit real. I hope you guys have a better day. I'm gonna try to turn this day into something noteworthy, you know? I keep looking up Reddit's most historical comments and things like that, you know? And I found things that I kept thinking I should make into Reddit collections. But to be honest, only one of them, here's a hilarious thread. It says, "What's the best comment on Reddit?" Let's read this one, because I keep forgetting whether or not I've ever read The Laziest Person Alive, so I should do that now. It's so short, too. I could make a video out of something so short. Unless I read the whole thread. Nah, we'll be fine. Well, I was once on a U.S. military ship having breakfast in the wardroom, officer's lounge, when the operations officer walks in. The guy was the definition of not a morning person. He's still half asleep, bleary-eyed, basically a zombie with a bagel. He sits down across the room from me to eat his bagel and is just barely conscious. My back is to the outboard side of the ship, and the morning sun is blazing in one of the portholes, putting a big bright-ass circle of light right on his barely conscious face. He's squinting and chewing and basically just remembering how to be alive today. It's painful to watch. Hilarious. But then the zombie OPS stops chewing, slowly picks up the phone, and dials the bridge. In his well-known "I'm still totally asleep" voice, he says, "Hey, it's OPS. Could you shift our bar? Yeah, 165. Thank you. And puts the phone down. And then he just sits there, squinting, waiting. And then, ever so slowly, I realize that the big blazing spots of sun has begun to slide off of the zombie's face and onto the wall behind him. After a moment, it clears his face and he blinks slowly a few times, and the brilliant beauty of what I just witnessed begins to overwhelm me. By ordering the bridge to adjust the ship's back and forth patrol by about 15 degrees, he's changed our course just enough to reposition the sun off of his face. He literally just redirected thousands of tons of steel and hundreds of people so that he could get the sun out of his eyes while he eats his bagel. I'm in awe. He slowly picks up his bagel for a moment. I'm terrified at the thought that his own genius may escape him, that he may never appreciate the epic brilliance of his laziness, since he's not going to be awake for another hour. But between his next bites, he pauses, looks at me, and gives me the faintest sly grin, before returning to gnaw slowly on his zombie bagel. I could probably post that as its own thing and call it zombie bagel. I don't like that. I don't know if that has a nice ring to it though. Laziest person alive seems pretty good. Zombie bagel. That's a whole different thing. That sounds like what you could call like the vagina of a zombie. Like you're banging an undead girl, like you got her chained up. Maybe you've knocked out her teeth. I'm sorry, you didn't want me to go there, but I guess that's what you get when you're dealing with Kyle. Woo! Knocking out a zombie's teeth, Kyle. What are you trying to say? I'm trying to say that they probably give you a good gum job, boy howdy. So, what are some of the top comments on Reddit that I haven't turned into a list? What's this? Laughed so hard that I choked. Congrats on your first post. Congrats on your second post. Fuck your third post, asshole. Hilarious. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, a girl posted a picture and it said roast me. She's an attractive girl. What a cutie. And then somebody said, if unenthusiastic handjob had a face, it would be you. Or this would be it. Brilliant. Unenthusiastic handjob. What's this? Did I read this before? It says it's a story about a coma dream. My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds and I was 120 pounds. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. Oh. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately she bore me a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, she bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day, while sitting on the couch, I noticed that my perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. Yeah, I've definitely read this before. It was a square lamp base, red, with gold trim on 4 legs with a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it, and the next morning I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about this lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon I stopped that too. I wasn't eating or drinking. I started the fucking lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me. By this time, my cognizance was breaking up, and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's. Just before I had my epiphany, the lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids, none of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not fucking real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective, and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kind of weird noises, and I became aware of pain, a fucking shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk, surrounded by people that I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up, dragged and walked me across the sidewalk in the grass, and threw me face down into the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive, and given CT scans and shit. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children, and dealing with the knowledge that they had never existed. I was scared that I was going insane, as I would cry myself to sleep, hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have, but sometimes I see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says. Holy Bing Bong. I read that before. I've read the Kevin story, obviously. What's this? Incredible pun. Okay. I'm 85% certain that there is an adult actress in my philosophy class. Why not do, wait, what? Why don't you email Lexi Bell? Exactly. Ask Lexi Bell if she has any interest in philosophy. If she says yes, then ask her which philosophers she likes. Once you get her to answer, strike up a conversation. Nigga, isn't that putting Descartes before the horse? The whores. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Listen. That story with the coma guy makes me, makes me wish that, DMT and kind of like psychedelic drugs were legal, you know? I feel like the brain is the craziest drug of all, and if we really just allowed it to come off the rails for a little bit, I mean, the CIA's doing testing with fucking, psychics and shit. Like, they're probably doing even crazier shit right now. And it's definitely because they were fucking around with LSD, trying to harness the power. We could really be taken off the rails. This one is classic. It says, what is the best comment on Reddit? This one is classic. It's an endless link. It's an endless link. That son of a bitch. Yeah, I mean, I think I've done it. I think it's time to just start singing "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls." You know what I'm talking about? No, let me stop. Didn't see that coming. This guy because he's a lifesaver. This because it's the funniest comment. This for being a heartwarming comment, and this for being an epic story. I've read Swamps of Dagobah. I've read Today You, Tomorrow Me. I don't know what some people think it's gross is. This is My Dad Once Beat Me with Jumper Cables. Brilliant. I've read that. Let me see what some of these other ones are. Post-it notes left in the apartment. I've read this one. Man, I've done everything for this channel. Holy bing bong. What is the nicest thing you've ever done that nobody knows about? Is this the one where he picked up that girl? Her name was Michaela and her baby was Joe. Yeah, I've done it all, baby. Throwaway time. What's the secret that could literally, is this about the cum box? Yep. It's the cum box story. Fuck me. I don't think there's anything left for me to fuck around with on Reddit, guys. I love you guys to death, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. I guess I could read another Ask Reddit thread, but the ones from today are actually probably awful. What's going on right now, though? Oh my god. Okay. China's richest village. Okay. What fictional character was your sexual awakening? That thick ass in The Road to El Dorado. There's no pictures? Oh my god, cartoon blowjob. What do you mean? Cartoon blowjob, what the fuck? Oh my god, look guys, oh my god. Okay, sexual awakening. There's been an awakening. I don't even know anymore. Let me get into the actual good recent Reddit threads. We're gonna go ahead and go by top. And I want to say past week, but why not past 24 hours? What's been happening recently? What's your sex life using only a Star Wars quote? Pass. Fictional character sexual awakening. What's the most infuriating case of blatantly ignoring the own rules of the canon? That's like of a story or something, right? You know, like in a movie. I bet you that Notebook one is in there. It says I went in there. I remember clicking that shit. I don't remember clicking that shit. I really just want to jump in and do like a stream of a game or something now. I've been reading for what, like 2 hours? Who's in charge of these lists? What a Kyle, man. I hope you guys have a fantastic latter half of the day. You guys deserve nothing less. Paying a little attention to the stream chat. Seems like Philosopher and Everett Ameno and Sarah Bishop are in there. Hope you guys are you all doing well? Well, dumbest rule your school ever had. I can't have read everything when the guy corrected Obama how U.S. Marines lost a snowball fight. Swamps of Dagobah. There are no more 0 days. What's this? Somebody says, I just don't care about myself. This ought to be good. This ought to be good. Sally Hunter says hello from Venezuela. Hello, Sally. One of my initial girlfriends was Venezuelan, and she had a very nice, thick butt. And nice thighs, too. Thunder thighs, like Chun-Li from Street Fighter. I remember once when I was in school, I had to leave school to get her some Midol because her cramps were so bad that she was essentially crippled. It's pretty intense. Sorry, I was almost a woman with how that triggered a memory just now. You have unlocked a memory path in the Kyle brain, like it's a video game. Like we're in a BioWare game. Philosophy says, hey yo, hello Philosophy. Hello Master Momo. Philosopher says, alright, need stripes to help me get my Overwatch rank back up. Okay. Evil Boy. What the hell at work? Hannah says, my head hurts quite a bit. Later, love. I'm sorry, Hannah. Your head seems to hurt often a lot. Talk to you later. Well, let's read this and then I'll release you guys. This isn't a number. I just don't care about myself. My God, this is a bit long-winded, isn't it? But let's just try to get through it. I'm not sure if this is a rant or a cry for help. Probably both. I just don't give a shit about myself anymore. Crawling in my skin. I'm away at college at my first semester. I'm not a freshman. I'm a junior transfer. And I thought that this would all end once I got away from my life back home. Back home, I don't try at all. I don't want to try. I don't see the point of trying. And there is nothing there that helps push me. Friends have tried to get me up and going, but it'll work for a week or so, and then I'll be back in my old routine of nothing. Now that I am away at college, I've fallen back into the same pattern. I don't care about my grades or about the quality of my work. I don't even care about doing my work. I have 5 essays due between Monday and Tuesday, and I'm writing this instead. I don't care about being with friends or making new connections. I did it at the beginning and I really liked doing it, but now everyone has settled into their places and the whole meeting new people to make friends thing has kind of died down, unless I'm at a party. But even then, I don't have as much fun at parties as I should. I always try to find someone to dance with or whatever, which never works, and I know that's not how you're supposed to do it. It's just a habit that I can't break. Well, you're an idiot. Earlier this week, I was rejected again by someone who I really was into and actually wasn't looking for anything, and that too is what has put me further into this hole. So you're being rejected and you're upset about it? Aw, boo-hoo. This guy. I wish I could pretend. I hate to be judgmental, but if I could, I feel like if this guy was getting some pussy, he wouldn't be as big a fucking, I don't care about anything. I have lots of things. This guy's probably wearing a fedora right now. I have lots of things that I want to learn and do with my life, but I can't even bring myself to do what I'm required to do. Hell, even the fact that I'm paying out of pocket to be at this college hasn't pushed me to pick up my work. You're an idiot. You're just putting yourself further and further in debt. I just feel like wasted space with no interest in bettering myself or being a productive member of society. How do you fucking get away with living a life like this? And even when I do get out of these holes, which happens somewhat often, it's only temporary and I fall back into the same habit of not caring about anyone or myself. I have no money. No one really cares about me, shitty grades, shitty diet, and exercise. And the worst part of it, it's not even that I hate any of this. I hate feeling like this, but not even enough to do something about it. I hate my grades, but it's not like C's look different from A's when you receive your diploma. No one really cares about me, especially in the way that I feel I need. It's been 2 years since someone told me they liked me, over a year since I had sex. So why should I care about myself anymore? Clearly I'm not good enough for anyone, yet for some reason that's good enough for me. It's long and confusing, and my mind is manipulative and confused, and I don't know what to do, but I know that if it requires lots of work and effort, I probably won't do it. Fuck this guy. Someone takes time out of their fucking day to actually write this idiot a response. Somebody says, ouch! Sounds like you're having a tough time, Max. That sucks. I've been there. So I kinda know what you're talking about. I've been in the ever-circling vortex of self-doubt, frustration, and loathing. It's no bueno. I know. If you don't mind, let me tell you a couple of things. You can read them if you want. Read them again later if you feel like it. But honestly, man, it's spend all this time typing this out. You don't know it'd be a little tinder for your fire? Well, you're just letting us both down. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to do anything. But you get to choose. Who am I? My name's Ryan, and I live in Canada. Just moved to a new city for a dream job that I got because of the rules below. I owe a lot of my success to people much cooler, kinder, more loving, and greater than me. When I get the chance to maybe let a little bit of a help out, it's a way of thanking them. Rule numero uno. There are no more 0 days. What's a 0 day? A 0 day is where you don't do a single fucking thing towards whatever dream or goal you want or whatever you got going on. No more zeros. I'm not saying that you gotta bust an essay out every day. That's not the point. The point I'm trying to make is that you have to promise yourself that new system you live in is a non-zero system. Didn't do anything all fucking day and it's 11:58 p.m. Write one sentence, one push-up, read one page, one chapter, one, because that is non-zero. You feel me? When you're in the super vortex of being bummed, your pattern or behavior is keeping the vortex going. That's what you're used to. Turning into productivity productivity ultimate master. Turning into productivity ultimate master of the universe doesn't happen from the vortex. It happens from a massive string of consistent non-zeros. That's rule number 1. Do not forget. Le duxie me regale. Yeah, I learned French. It's a Canadian thing. Please excuse the lack of accent, Graves. But let me go into rule number 2. Be grateful to the 3 U's. What? 3 me's? That sounds like mumbo jumbo bullshit. Newsflash. There are 3 U's, home slice. There's the past you, the present you, and the future you. If you want to love someone and have someone love you back, you gotta learn to love yourself. And the 3 U's are the key. Be grateful to the past, you, for the positive things that you've done, and do favors for the future you, like you would for your best bro. Feelings like shit today? Stop a second. Think of a good decision you made yesterday. Salad and tuna instead of a Big Mac. Thank you, younger me. Was yesterday a non-zero day because you wrote 200 words? That's all you could muster? Thank you, younger me. Saved up some coin over time. Buy that sweet thing you wanted? Thank you, past me. Second part of 3 me's is you gotta do your future self a favor. Just like you would for the best fucking friend or no best friend, you do now, you got 2. It's future and past you. Tired as hell and can't get off Reddit or video games or the internet? Fuck you, present self. This one's for future me. I'm gonna rock out P90X Ab Ripper X for 17 minutes. I do this one for future me. Alarm clock goes off and the bed is too company. Fuck you, present self. This one's for my best friend, the future me. I'm up and going for a 5-kilometer run or 25-meter run. It's got to be non-zero. Make sure you thank your old self for rocking out at the end of every single day. Who is this guy? This shit goes on forever. Aww. Aww. Oh, I love that. I love the graphic of the guy going uphill in the past version. Then you like leveled out right here. And then it's like a downhill thing for the future version. You know, because you're making it easier. I like the image better. It conveys what we're looking for without some long-winded fucking, you know, pep talk from some gym guy. Oh my god. Emily arrives in the chat and says, don't let the candy melt. We gotta give a special thanks for Emily, who was tricking me into thinking that she was receiving candy on Friday. And it was actually me. So she got me good. So thank you again, sweetie, for sending me that candy. And you know what the crazy thing was? It wasn't even on my wish list. The candy wasn't even on my wish list. She got me so good. She got me so good. She also bought me pasta last night. A lot of pasta. Pasta that I could go eat right now, as a matter of fact. I should get out of here, take off these pants, eat that pasta. Guys, I love you all to death. And, you know, if you love me, I don't know, like the video or something. Or maybe just show up. No, you don't have to show up to anything. Here's what I want you to do more than anything. If you guys love me, you could even do this right now if you want. Open up a playlist of lists. Like if you go to my page and then you click playlist, there's some with my lists. Just open up that playlist, mute it, and leave it on in a background window. Do that every night when you go to sleep, and let's see how many people I could get doing that, dude. But wait, don't I make more money if people click the actual ads? I think I don't know how it works. I don't care how it works. Philosopher says, I'm sorry, I can agree with this book Kyle is reading. I feel he goes a little too crazy, but I always just try to do something I enjoy and force myself to feel better. Yeah. That guy was going a little bit too far. Come on now. You know what I mean? Killing me with the monkey smalls. Dude, where's the fucking front page of Reddit, mate? I got all these links and they're taking me to the weirdest places. Oh boy. So yeah, I'm gonna get something to eat. Thank Emily for being amazing. And oh no, I just realized something about Emily. I have to give her the power. I have to give her the power. Wait, why did she say go check the porch again as if more shit was supposed to come? You scare the living shit out of me, Emily. You scare the living shit out of me. She already sent me. You want to know how much candy she sent me? She sent me there's a bag with 150 mini pieces of candy. There's mini Hershey's, mini Kit Kat, fucking love Kit Kat, mini Whoppers, fucking love Whoppers, and mini fucking oh my god, Reese's Pieces, which I can't get enough of. I really have to use the bathroom now. It's been about 2 hours and 20 minutes. Guys, I love you. This has been interesting. Oh god, go bing bong and other. Oh my god, I gotta use the bathroom. Guys, Okay, so I'll catch you guys later. I love you. Talk to you soon.